You are tuning in to Living Mentally Well with Kevin Hines. Follow us as we interview some of the greatest, most influential minds and public figures in the fields of suicide prevention, entertainment, activism, mental and behavioral health. We welcome you to listen, learn, watch, and enjoy. My name is Kevin Hines, and that's Kevinhines, and I am a storyteller, a speaker, author, and advocate. I wrote a book, Cracked Not Broken, Surviving and Thriving After a Suicide Attempt. Working in suicide prevention and mental health for the last 15 years.
Kevin, we are so privileged to have you here at our Indiana System of Care Conference, and I am so excited that there's a little bit of your story that can go on our implementation guide. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the power of stories in healing and in building systems.
Power of stories. Well, stories are very powerful and very important to the fabric of, I think, the nature of human beings. Everyone has one or more, right? And I've been telling my story in a public setting since 2001, 7 months after my attempted suicide off the Golden Gate Bridge. I wasn't going to tell this story to anyone, but I had a few experiences with clergy that pushed me forward to try and share my experiences in the hopes that in any audience, and this is I know it's a cliche, but in any audience, one or more individuals would take effect and change their lives based upon the power of the voice they heard and the ability to look at someone, relate to them, and say, if that person can do it, so can I. And that's kind of what I do. I mean, I travel the country and the globe, and that's what we talk about. And one of the things that has been happening over and over again, well, a couple of things. One thing that happens is people will inevitably come up to me and say, I was going to kill myself and now I'm not. Or I was going to take my life and now I'm going to get help. Can you walk me to a counselor? Or if I'm at the military, if I'm in a military unit, they say, can you walk me to my CO? I need to get this off my chest because I need help. Another thing that happens is people will share with me via Facebook, Twitter, all those things. It used to be MySpace, not anymore. But they will share with me their great stories of triumph over adversity, or they'll share with me how they're suffering and this story brought them hope, and now they're encouraged to go get help. And that's the best kind. Because you can say to someone, hey, you don't have to do this, and there is a future, and just take a different path.
So you've used your story to help individuals and help groups like this think about the way that they provide services. And it sounds like people have really benefited from your story. You tell a story also about not just the suicide attempt, but also some of the earlier trauma that brought you to that place. And I wonder if you can talk about how that has fit into your story and how that moment of self-awareness that you talk about later is also a piece of the story.
Okay, so the first part, basically my infancy and how that led to me, right? I mean, in the first 9 months of my life, I was traumatized, I was neglected, I was born premature because of drugs my parents were taking, and they continued to take drugs and leave us unattended, my brother and I. And that led me to have a life filled with abandonment issues and detachment disorder, and that was prior to me even turning 9 months of age. But that carried on throughout the rest of my life. I mean, one of the things how it affects me today is that I have a really hard time when someone in my life dies, passes away by any means. I mean, I have a extreme, I know everyone has a hard time, but I have a really hard time with death because I feel this overwhelming sense of pain and this feeling that they left because they left me, because they didn't want to be with me or be around me or be near me or be my relative anymore because they hated me. And that's this feeling that I work on every day in therapy so that the next time I have someone in my life who dies, I can handle it just that much better.
Self-awareness piece.
Yeah, the self-awareness piece is very important. I learned to be self-aware with my struggle, I think at a good time. It was probably around my third psych ward stay out of 7, where I realized that I can fight this every day and maintain. I can cope with this illness. I call it beating it, because if it's not taking away everything that is me, my ability to work, to love my wife, to take care of my family and friends, to be around friends, to be around people who care, to have conversation. If I can do all of those things and so much more, then I'm beating it every day and I'm living mentally well. Even though I suffer with all of the symptoms of the mental struggles every day, I'm okay with that because I get to be here. I'm alive, almost died, and I will never attempt to take my life again as long as I live.
So yours is a story of early trauma, the impact of that, but then ultimately finding some recovery and hope and self-awareness and a future. And it's a beautiful story. I have one more question for you.
Sure.
When we think about stories of trauma and recovery and hope, how can we, as people who are interested in creating this community-based system, how can we think about incorporating the stories such as yours into the work that we do? What does that mean for us as we create these systems?
I think a way you could incorporate this story in what you do is, I do a lot of video work, and I could send you a plethora of free stuff that you can post anywhere that people are finding solace in. People are looking at these videos on the 2 channels. They're actively using them. You can incorporate these videos like so many people have already in their daily lives so that they can go, okay, those are some things I can do to stabilize, and it's not that difficult. They're common sense tools that can help me thrive. And I think if I can share those with you,
Yeah.
I will do that today.
That would be awesome, and we will put them in this guide
Oh, there it is.
everybody
Wonderful.
to take advantage of. And thank you so much for being here and for helping us and for sharing your story. It's very powerful.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to. This has been Living Mentally Well with Kevin Hines, brought to you by 17th and Montgomery Productions. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe below and let us know the thoughts you have in the comment section. Everyone has a story. We want to hear yours because you matter.